Well, hello everyone, and thank you for being here. Today's a new day. Today's a day to take action. I don't think there's a single day that we actually do go through that we actually don't make decisions to take action. It's just not conscious. And at times, we take action, but not for ourselves. We take action for the sake of just going with emotions of the day. And it might not be conscious. But the important thing here is if you're planning to become an entrepreneur, and I'm assuming that you are because you listen to this podcast, at some point in time, that idea was prevalent with you. You really did want to become an entrepreneur of sorts, or you have an idea that you want to kick off. Or maybe you're just in that career ladder in the corporate world that you just want to climb and you want to figure out what is the next step for you. Regardless if you're trying to climb the corporate ladder or if you are pursuing an entrepreneur career, you are indeed needing to take action. And when is the best time to take that action, right? Because at times we're thinking, I might not be ready, or I need to gain more knowledge, or I'm needing this, or I'm needing that. And the truth is, you're never going to be 100% ready. You always are going to be needing a little bit extra, a little bit something new. How many times have you started something and you realize, oh my God, I don't know the entire content of this, or I don't have the entire presentation ready. I need one more slide, or I've taken this many courses, but I still not as proficient as so and so, right? There's always that point of comparison. But at the end of the day, it's important that you recognize where you are, but it's also super important to go ahead and take action. I was talking to my coach yesterday afternoon. I had a coaching session and we were just talking about this. As I'm launching my new company, as I'm launching my new brand, she was digging a little bit deeper in regards of why are you waiting to do this, or why are you waiting to do that in very specific areas. And I could have came up with a million excuses, right? The truth is, I'm number one, I'm not ready in certain areas, but I'm not ready. I'm not fully ready. I don't have the content ready. I'm just not there yet. And the truth is, although I was not really thinking about making excuses, I was doing exactly that. There were many ways that I could have just started with something, just bring an idea to life and just unleash all the knowledge that I currently have and take it one step at a time. However, it was a very conscious decision on my end not to do so, and to refine the content and to make sure that it's good and valuable. And we uncover other things like, valuable for who? And we were just talking about how it would be valuable for me. And at the end of the day, most of the people that need your knowledge is just not like you. It's other people, right? So at times we judge by our own metrics, when in reality, we just need to be looking into the people that we want to make an impact on. And the current knowledge that we have could be very useful to other people. So one of the takeaways from that conversation is that I might not feel that I'm super ready to deliver what I have polished or what I have created right now, but it might be of value for somebody out there. And if you can make an impact on one person alone, if that is enough for you, just go for it. You will understand that if your true goal is to make an impact in somebody's life, then now is the time to take action. Even if you have lofty goals to impact more than one person, you can start right now. There's different ways. Just find a way to get started. That is super duper important. It's critical. Not taking action, it is the number one cause of regret of people that actually do want to start something, but they get delayed, or they look back and they go like, my God, I should have started this 2-3 years ago. So nobody's going to know any better than you, but just try to live this entrepreneur life without regrets. Everybody says Rome was not built in one day. And then there's another Chinese proverb that talks about how a long journey starts with just one step. The good news, for example, is that listening to this podcast, you are already taking that first step. Like, taking the first step doesn't necessarily mean a heavy financial investment or anything like that, or taking this course, or developing a website or anything like that. It's more about just finding out how you really are taking those first steps and realize where you are in that journey. Definitely these is a first step for you. If you're listening to this, there's an interest to unleash that power. There's an interest to find a way. There's an interest to find that roadmap. Don't fall into analysis paralysis. Just get going. Unleash your power. You have it within you. So take the first step, then go steady into depth. It's called first for a reason and not the only step for a reason, right? Just get going. Just get going. Be unstoppable. And then the other portion of that is, just get better. Just get better every day. Even if you just get better 1% every single day, just get better. I've been doing this my whole life. I've been reinventing myself my whole life. Now, granted, you don't have to reinvent yourself every single time, but it's just about finding that right opportunity of becoming better. And by becoming better 1%, 2%, 5%, whatever that might look like, you are reinventing yourself in a way, because you're definitely not the person that you were a minute ago. And you might say, how do I do that, right? Like, what is the process? How can I go about doing that? Well, number one is don't be afraid of taking not the first step, but the second and third and fourth. So just get rid of your fears. And, if you are going to fail, which you will, unfortunately, we all fail at some point in time in doing something. Don't take it as a failure, like a dead end. Failure, when we talking about failure, we're talking about mostly as a learning lesson. So when I coach, IT teams, information technology teams, we always talk about failing fast, forward, and cheap. That means that if you're going to be failing at something, do it early in the process. So when you apply those lessons learned, the things that you're going to go like, oh my God, I should have done it this way. How come I didn't know this before? You're not embedded in the process all the way through. Let's say that you're building a car, right? You work in the automotive industry. You don't want to find out that you had to change the engine all the way after that the engine was, put together and put in the car, and you're running the car and you're testing the car. You want to know that when you're building the engine itself way at the beginning. So if you need to tweak something, you don't have to deassemble the entire car. And I'm just going to an extreme, right? Obviously. So fail fast. Failing forward means learning from your mistakes, right? Failing back means exactly the opposite. It means that you just do a regression. Instead of taking advantage of those lessons learned, you just take it very personal. It becomes a wound in you. It becomes a way to hurt yourself, and you don't want to do that. Actually, you want to do exactly the opposite. Take it as a lesson learned. Take it as a blessing that you get to learn that. Again, you're learning this fast, right? You fail fast. So this is literally a blessing. You're at a point in time in which you do have the time, even if you think that you don't, you do have the time to learn, adjust, and move forward and apply those lessons learned. Because if you don't apply what you have learned, you literally are wasting your time and possibly money and connections in everything else, right? And then failing cheap, which means if you fail fast at the beginning of the process, you probably are not fully invested into what you're doing. You have some investment done into the production of what you're doing, whether it's production of material, content, the production of your product, whatever that might look like. It means that you're failing fast, very quickly, you're failing forward, learning your lessons, and you're failing cheap in regards to like you're not fully invested. So again, how you get better is you apply those things that you learn along the way. I call it the cleansing cycle. You wash, rinse, and repeat. And this allows you to fall in love with the process more so than with the outcome, right? Because you start becoming better and better and better, and it becomes a little bit of addictive. You want to be better at what you do, not because you just want to be better yourself, but because you want to offer something good to people. I believe that if you're good people, and I want to believe that you're listening to this podcast because you're good people, right? You do want to do good. You do want to add value. You actually do care. You do give a damn. So with that said, you do have an intent to have an impact in somebody's life. And you do want to make sure that this part of the reinvention has an impact not only in you and your product, but obviously or your product or service, but also you have this kind of impact in somebody else's life. You're making their life better as you improve. I personally had to reinvent myself a million times, right? I had to I had to survive in different ways. I had to adapt in a million different ways. And some of those reinventions, they were pretty critical. They were very heavy. They were not like, I'm getting 1% better. It was like probably about 180 degree of the direction that I was initially going. But that was not even by design. That was just adjusting to the new ways of living. And I can talk about that later in a different way, or in a different podcast, the things that actually made me change my life. But I realized that I wouldn't survive if I didn't adjust, whether it's to the new environment or my working conditions or whatever that might look like. I had to have that change. So what I'm trying to say with that is, like, if you're not in the right place, change your setting, change your path, change your future. If you are in the right track, just adjust and get better 1%, at any given time cycle, any given time that you want to sit back, relax, reflect on how things are going. So let's say if you want to get, 1% better every day, that is phenomenal. Not sure that everybody can find a 1% betterment in their products on a daily basis, but that would be amazing, because these kind of changes compound over time. These kind of changes, if you get 1% better today and 1% better tomorrow you're not getting just 1% better, you're getting 1.001% better. And it compounds over time, and it's like interest, right? When you put money into a bank account, into a savings account, and it compounds interest over time. The first year you have $110. The second year you have $121. And you keep on going and going and going, right? And the more you have invested and the better interest you get, the more return you get. This is identical. So the more you're invested in your product or your service, and the more you adjust and the more you get better at what you do or what you offer, the better that product gets over time. It's compounding. And if you think about the impact that makes on people, so you're going to have 1%, let's say that you're talking about saving money on your product or service. And if you can understand your production line or what you're doing in a way that is more efficient, and it saves you 1% on every single cycle time. And let's say that your cycle time is monthly, right? You consider your cycle times every month, like most people do that. Most people actually consider their cycle times a month, because that's your financial cycle, right? You close your month and you know where you are financially at a minimum. The bank statements are monthly. So let's take that for an example. If you can save 10% every month or 1% every month, you compound through the year about 15% or whatnot. And that is just on the saving side. If you add 1% value on top of the saving, you start doubling up what the client is going to see, not only on the value that of the product or service that it was saved, if you actually transfer that to them, but you can also project that benefit to them in an exponential manner. Now, if you do this right, and you actually transfer both the savings and the value that you're offering, you might see also an exponential growth the exact same way that you see the exponential growth on value and the exponential saving. You might see that growth on your clientele, and that is critical for your growth. Find a way to get better every single day. And if not, find out and understand what is your cycle. Like, are you okay with reviewing your performance on a weekly manner? Are you okay with reviewing your performance on a daily manner? Like, do you usually feel accomplished at the end of the day? Do you do a self-check-in and say, hey, this is what I should have done. This is what we should have done, right? Do you check in with your team if you have a team? How do they feel? Like, have you asked those questions, right? Because at the end of the day, remember, they're also human and they're also part of your team. And if not, if it is just a team of you, it's super important that you check in with yourself, but in a real manner. Really ask the questions that are important. Like, are you satisfied where you are? Are you okay with the progress that you're making? Is your timeline realistic? Do you need to decompress? Do you need time for yourself? Are you taking care of all the areas in your life that are meaningful to you? So do that self-check-in and unleash your power. Don't wait to take action, whether it's even to decompress. If what you need right now is to decompress, take action on that. And then, tackle tomorrow with enthusiasm. and then just find a way to get better every day. You'll find that is very, very rewarding. You'll understand exactly what is it that you need to do. And remember, you already took the first step. So then just go steady into the depth of what you're trying to accomplish. It's called the first step and not the only step for a reason. So a great deal of reinventing yourself is the process of examination. Examine yourself daily, right? If you find faults, correct them. When you find none, you should try even harder, right? The first step towards getting somewhere is to decide that you're not going to stay where you are. I'll leave you with those thoughts. I hope that you find value in this, and I'll see you next week. Bye.